My boyfriend cheated on me with my best friend 15 years ago and she got pregnant. My family found out about this but hid the truth. I left home and broke all ties with them. Now my mother wants me to make peace with them. 15 years ago, my best friend, she was 18 at the time, became pregnant by my boyfriend, who was 20. We had been dating him for 3 years at that time. My family knew about it but didn't tell me anything, so I left home. Now, 15 years later, we are in touch again. And my mother, she is now 59 years old, demands that I improve my relationship with my ex-boyfriend and ex-girlfriend. I am now 33 years old. This story began 15 years ago and greatly influenced my life. When I was 18 and a senior, I truly believed that my life was on the right track. I lived with my parents and 4 brothers and sisters, 23, 22, 20, and 14 years old. I spent most of my time with my best friend Jessica, 18, or my boyfriend of 3 years, Nick, 20. Jessica and Nick's parents were my parents' best friends, so we knew each other since we were babies. We celebrated holidays, birthdays together, and often visited each other, since we lived in the same city. Jessica was my friend for 18 years, and I really trusted her with everything. Sometimes our parents joke that we grew together because we were inseparable. I dated Nick for 3 years. I believed that he was the love of my life, and that we would get married in the future. We were in a pretty serious relationship and even discussed getting married after he graduated from college. At that time, he was in his 2nd year. Although I had plans to go to university, I was quite happy with the idea of marrying Nick and becoming a housewife. My parents loved Nick and supported our relationship. I was really happy. I think it's worth mentioning that my sister, 20, dated Nick's brother, 23, and all of our siblings were very close. And then I noticed that Jessica became depressed and distant. After much questioning, she admitted that she was pregnant. I was surprised because I knew that she had broken up with her boyfriend some time ago and had no idea that she had someone else. I asked who the father was, but she didn't want to say. She only hinted that it was her ex. She was in complete despair, so I didn't push and just tried to console her. I was with her when she told her family about it. Her parents were disappointed, but promised to support any decision she made. They tried to find out who the child's father was, but she refused to say his name and made me promise to remain silent. Her parents didn't even know that she ever had a boyfriend. I supported her for the next 9 months. I went with her to ultrasounds, to doctor's appointments, was there for her, helped set up the nursery, supported her when she was unwell, threw her a baby shower, went shopping with her, even attended a course for expectant parents. We chose a name together and she even asked me to be present at the birth. I noticed that pregnancy was difficult for her, both physically and emotionally, and I tried to support her in every possible way. She was my best friend. She was always there for me, and I loved her. A couple of weeks before my due date, I went to the mall to run errands and ran into Jessica's ex-boyfriend. Although I promised never to contact him, realizing my friend's emotional state caused me to flare up in anger, and I lashed out at him. I told him everything I thought, called him a piece of shit for leaving his pregnant girlfriend without caring about his unborn child. He looked stunned and said he had no idea what I was talking about. It turned out that Jessica never told him about her pregnancy. When I said that she was already in her 9th month, he replied that he could not be the father because they broke up more than a year ago and have not had any relationship since then. I was confused, but I still apologized to him for yelling in the middle of the mall. After that, he became sarcastic, said some nasty things, and then added that maybe I should ask Jessica's friend Nick if he was the baby's father. I didn't pay any attention to his words. Nick and Jessica were lifelong friends. All 3 of us were very close because of our parents' friendship. But there was never any sign that there was anything between them. That evening, my younger sister, 14 years old, and I were getting ready for a movie at home. I began to resent the conversation with Jessica's ex and his words. My sister, usually very straightforward, suddenly fell silent and did not react at all. After a while, she said she needed to go to the bathroom and left. I decided to go get a snack and went down to the kitchen. There, I heard my sister scolding my mother. This moment is very blurry in my memory as I was overwhelmed with emotions. My sister told my mom that I had confronted Jessica's ex, relayed his words, and said she no longer wanted to hide the truth from me. Nick is the father of Jessica's child. I was stunned. Absolutely stunned. I froze in place, then staggered into the kitchen and demanded an explanation. My mother and sister turned pale when they saw me. My sister burst into tears. She began to explain. And later I learned even more details from other people. At the end of the summer holidays, Nick and Jessica were at the same party, got drunk, and slept together. Jessica got pregnant and told Nick about it, but they were both ashamed and afraid to tell me. They also didn't tell their parents about it. However, Jessica could not keep it to herself and still confessed to her parents. They told Nick's parents and then mine. This happened when Jessica was in her first trimester of pregnancy. At the beginning of the second trimester, everyone knew about it. Our brothers and sisters, Nick and Jessica's brothers and sisters. Everyone except me. I cannot express in words what I felt then. I was physically sick for the next 3 days and couldn't talk to anyone. My parents apologized, but said they didn't want to hurt me or ruin the relationship between the families. I didn't talk to Nick or Jessica, although they flooded my phone with messages and calls and came to my house. I refused to see them. At some point, Nick's mom came to us, and my mom led her into my room. I lay in bed, still feeling bad, emotionally drained from the betrayal. She tried to convince me to forgive, saying that Jessica and the child needed me. I was silent. 2 weeks later, Jessica went into labor. I learned from my parents that she had a difficult birth, she lost a lot of blood, and she had an urgent cesarean section. Nick, as it turned out, was in labor. I was shocked, heartbroken, because of the betrayal of both, because I had planned to be there, but now physically and emotionally could not. Although I have been waiting for this moment for months. My older sister went to the hospital to see her boyfriend. My other brothers and sisters were not at home, so I was left alone with my parents. All I wanted was to go to bed, cuddle with my mother, and cry all my feelings out. Jessica's mother called her mom. She came into my room and said that she and my father were going to the hospital. I was at a loss and asked her to stay with me. She said that Jessica's parents needed all the support they could get and that we would discuss everything later. I tried to tell her not to leave, that I needed their support too, but she replied that I was being selfish, and they left. I was left alone in the house and simply could not comprehend what had happened over the past weeks. I couldn't believe that my parents went to support people who betrayed me while I suffered alone. Was I really selfish for thinking this way? I don't know. I don't remember exactly when this happened, but my sadness gave way to rage. Something I've never experienced before. In a fit of emotion and a sense of betrayal, I began to pack my things. I decided to leave home. It took me a while to realize this, and I began to hesitate. I just sat in the living room, feeling empty. After some time, I received a message from my sister. It said that Jessica had given birth to a healthy baby girl and that they were both fine. She included a photo of the newborn and wrote that they named her Sarah, a name Jessica and I had chosen months ago. After a little more time, she sent a second message. My parents, along with her and Jessica's and Nick's parents, were going to a bar to celebrate the birth of their child. I don't remember well what happened next. I think I was just completely depressed, and my memory of that time is very hazy. I left. I got on the train and left. I lived in a hostel in Phoenix for a while, got a job in a store, and planned to finish school there. My parents, siblings, Nick and Jessica tried to contact me. My mom left me panicked voicemails demanding that I come back. They even filed a report about my disappearance. But since I was 18, it didn't seem to lead anywhere. Shortly after this, I met Dean. He was 21. He also lived in Phoenix and had a difficult relationship with his family. We quickly found a common language and became friends. He helped me a lot during that period. It was hard for me. I had no idea how to take care of myself or how to even be an adult. Dean introduced me to a group of his friends, helped me finish school, and soon I moved in with him and his friends. He supported me when I was going through my pain. I really struggled with myself, at times regretting my decision. I wanted to see a psychologist, but I absolutely couldn't afford it. He was there for me through everything, and I don't think I would have lasted long without him. year later, we started dating. He inherited money from his grandfather and decided to move to a big city on the other side of the country. Although we had not been together for very long, he invited me to go with him. I was a little hesitant because we both had a lot of emotional baggage and I still felt insecure about my life situation. But in the end, she agreed. We moved, found jobs, and tried to survive. Shortly after my 21st birthday, we decided to get married. It was a spontaneous, crazy decision, but we did it. I went to university and Dean helped me pay for my studies. He opened his own company, which began to generate income, and we began to live more comfortably. I studied at university and worked part-time to contribute. We had our ups and downs, but we made it through. After graduating from university, I started working in his company, and together we gradually developed it. Looking back, I realized that when I married Dean, I wasn't in love with him. I loved him, but I wasn't in love. But he was always there, unconditionally and unconditionally. And now I don't think I could love him more. He is the love of my life. We have been married for 12 years and have a 2-year-old son and a 6-month-old baby. Sometimes I regretted leaving my family, but I just couldn't go back. It was too painful. I felt like my parents chose Jessica and Nick over me. At the age of 25, I went to a psychologist to deal with my emotions. Last year, I received a letter from a 14-year-old girl named Evelyn. She explained that she was my niece, the daughter of my older sister and brother Nick. She knew about me and wanted to meet me. Although I doubted whether I should answer her, we nevertheless began to correspond. I note that she did not know what happened 15 years ago. So our conversations were pretty harmless. We talked about her school, hobbies. She told me about my family. I found out that I have 10 nephews and nieces. I also learned that Nick married Jessica 4 years after I left, and they had 2 more sons besides Sarah. My parents continued to be friends with Nick and Jessica's families, and to me it looked like my family continued to live their normal lives despite my absence. Evelyn tried to talk to me about the past, but I didn't feel like I needed to explain anything to her. Therefore, I simply said that a lot changes, and sometimes things happen in life that force people to separate. We continued to correspond from time to time for almost a year. In her letter in January of this year, Evelyn described how the pandemic had greatly impacted their entire family, how my parents were struggling to keep their home, and both my brothers had lost their jobs and couldn't pay their bills. I was surprised by how aware she was of all these problems, given that she was only 14, but financial difficulties were also causing tension in her own family. I felt guilty and regretful. I also recently gave birth, which added to my emotions. I talked to my husband, and he was very supportive. He said that he would be there for me no matter what I decided. We are financially stable. The pandemic has not greatly affected our situation. We are not rich, but we live comfortably. After learning more details and discussing everything with Dean, we decided to help my parents with their house. A week ago, my husband and I flew to my home state. I saw my family for the first time in 15 years. I had so many emotions: regrets, pain from the past, feelings of betrayal. My parents, I think, were relieved to see me. It was a very strange day. We talked for a long time and agreed to try to build some kind of normal relationship. It's been so long and I feel very awkward around them. Sometimes they seem foreign to me. Dean and I spent a week there talking, and I really believed that we were on our way to building friendships. But then my mom started insisting that I sit down and talk to Nick and Jessica. She explained that she wanted everything to be the same as before. I said I didn't want to talk to them. Although I let go of the past a long time ago, I no longer have any ties with them, and I do not want to bring up this issue again. I said that I was ready to try to improve my relationship with my parents, since they are my family and I really began to care about my niece. But I don't want anything to do with Nick, Jessica, and their family. I have never demanded that my parents stop communicating with them, but I don't want this myself. Dean supported me. Mom called me selfish and said that I simply had to try to restore our relationship. I replied that I was not going to negotiate, and now it all depends on her whether she wants to have a relationship with me or not. She said okay, but 2 days later Nick's mom called me. I didn't give her my number and I demanded, I demanded that I talk to Nick and Jessica because my return had created tension in their family. I hung up. I called my mom and asked her directly. It turned out that she herself gave my number to this woman in order to restore family ties. I told her that she was choosing them over me again. She cried, screamed at me, called me selfish, said that she just wanted her family back. I hung up again. It's been several days since I spoke to any of them. But my mom and Nick's mom keep calling me. Although I think I'm right and I believe that I should put my well-being first, as well as the well-being and happiness of my husband, who supports me 100%, and even put my mother in her place, and my sons. I'm starting to have doubts. I don't know if I should listen to my mom and talk to Jessica and Nick. I'm starting to wonder if I went too far 15 years ago. I feel like maybe I'm actually being selfish by not trying to repair the relationship. I would really like to hear advice or opinion on what to do in this situation. Suddenly, I began to doubt my entire life path. I'm completely lost and don't know what to do. So, I propose to pause this video right now and advise the author what to do in this situation. And we move on to the update. The first update is after 2 years. God, it's been 2 years since I wrote this post. Many people ask me about the update. Firstly, I want to thank all the wonderful people who wrote to me, sent me warm messages, and supported me. I'm really very grateful. A lot has happened over the years, and unfortunately, not only good. Not to drag this out for 100 pages. I never mentioned my little sister in my first post. Her relationship with her parents deteriorated greatly after I left, and at age 20, she completely stopped communicating with them. I got her number from our older sister, and although it was awkward at first, after all, 15 years had passed and we started talking again. She was very angry with me for leaving. A lot happened in her life, and it was not easy for her. She has 2 small children. Honestly, the kids helped us get closer again. Now she is my best friend, and we talk every day. As for my other siblings, I keep in regular contact with both brothers, although we are not particularly close. We have a good relationship with my older sister now, but last year there was a period when we didn't communicate for a long time because she is married to Nick's brother, and it was hard for her to be between all this family drama. We are doing well now, and I have a great relationship with my nieces and nephews. I didn't go to one of my niece's birthday, I just felt it would be too hard for me. Now about the parents. This is the most painful topic for me, and at some point I felt like I was reliving all those shitty emotions that I felt at 18 years old. My mom wouldn't stop pestering me about not talking to Nick and Jessica. Her calls about this topic continued for months, even after I returned home. It bordered on emotional blackmail. She blamed me for not respecting her wishes, for her problems with friends, for her health problems, and then completely accused me of taking her grandchildren away from her. I had my daughter last June, and it seems to have driven her completely crazy. I'm talking about hundreds of calls a day, messages every 20 minutes about everything, news about people I don't even want to hear about. When she started pestering Dean, I couldn't take it anymore. I was afraid to block her, so I talked to my father. This was probably the first truly frank conversation between us in 17 years. I was emotionally drained, tired from caring for 3 kids and just on edge. I probably threw out all my feelings and emotions on him. I don't know what happened between them after that. He doesn't talk about it much. But her calls gradually stopped. And something obviously happened, because in August my father filed for divorce. Now my father and I maintain regular contact, although I think that our relationship will never be the same. Mom is in complete despair. In August, her calls became frantic, and as it turned out, not only to me. I changed my number, and since February, she can't reach me anymore. One of my brothers told me that she started having problems with anxiety and depression. She lost many friends. I don't know if she's in touch with Nick and Jessica's families, and I don't want to know. I don't want anything to do with her anymore, and I don't want her anywhere near my children. What she said about me, about my husband, whom she doesn't even really know, and after 15 years of absence from my life, is crazy. Yes, I am sorry that I no longer have a mother, but trying to restore at least some fragments of the relationship seems to me a waste of energy and just torture. As for Nick and Jessica, I received several calls from Nick's mom, as I mentioned in my post. I blocked her, and no one called me again. I have no idea what they're doing or where they are now. We have not communicated. The only thing that happened was in August, when everything went to hell. My brother-in-law, Nick's brother, gave me a letter supposedly written by Jessica. I haven't opened it yet, and I don't know if I want to. I feel that I have already experienced and let go of their betrayal. But at the same time, I'm curious what she wants to say after all these years. However, it can stir up emotions, and I'm not sure I want to feel that way again. I'm fine now. I'm trying to focus on my family and really hope that all of this is finally behind me. Thank you all again. If something happens, I'll try to write an update. The second update is a month later. I've been asked a lot of questions and I can't answer them all right now. I plan to update the information later, but for now I'll answer the most common ones. I still haven't read Jessica's letter. Since the last update, I started going to therapy again, and Dean and I decided it would be best to give the letter to my therapist, and let him decide when and if I was ready to read it. I haven't talked to my mom since the last update. I received messages from her on Facebook, as well as from Jessica's mom. What happened for the first time? I didn't even read it. I have now deleted Facebook. Neither Nick nor Jessica tried to contact me through social media. The only thing I know is that Nick asked my brother-in-law, his brother, to give him my address or number, but he refused. Then Jessica gave him the letter. Now the son-in-law does not communicate with his family. Nick and Jessica have separated according to his son-in-law, but he does not know whether their divorce has been finalized or not. Last week my father was in town. He doesn't know my address and has never been to my house. For the first time in almost 20 years, we had an honest and frank conversation. It was very difficult, and it took me several days to recover. But it was necessary. I learned a lot of new things about my mother. Many of you have speculated that there must have been something in her past that made her this way, and what happened between the time they found out about Jessica's pregnancy and my return 2 years ago. This is a huge layer of information, and I will have to sort it out for a long time in therapy. That's really a lot. So I'll probably write a separate update about that. Also about my little sister. She is not to blame for anything, and I never accused her of hiding the truth from me. She was a teenager. She understood that this was wrong, but was under enormous pressure from our mother. After I left, her life turned into hell. Her mother was simply unbearable and blamed her for everything. Thank you again for your support and kind words. Please appreciate your loved ones if they are truly there for you in good and bad times. Call your parents and siblings. Tell them how much you love them. In moments like these, we realize how often we underestimate those who really matter. Authors comment after 2 months. I learned from my father that, according to him, Jessica and Nick did not have a relationship before the betrayal. But this may be a lie. Apparently, he believed that she had feelings for him. So, it wasn't just random drunken sex with just anyone. If I had known this then, it would have killed me. But I already guessed, even without words. Her ex suspected something. They were no longer dating by the time that party happened. But I don't think he ever loved Nick anyway. So for him, their proximity was a wake-up call. I wasn't a party girl, and neither was Jessica. But I don't know why they went to the party that day. I don't know if they came together or separately, but most likely separately. Jessica had other friends who liked parties. As for alcohol, I don't remember them ever being big drinkers. At least I've never seen Jessica so drunk that she lost control or memory. So I never really believed in this version. But I wasn't there. And in general, it doesn't matter whether they were drunk or not. It's still a betrayal. Then I received several messages from Nick, but she never answered calls or messages. After I found out that he was the father, I never spoke to them again. Sometimes I regret it. Perhaps it would be better for all of us if I just expressed everything that was on my heart and then broke off contact with them. But then I was in too bad a condition, and besides, she was often sick. At the moment, I think my mother is experiencing the loss of the close family and friendship bond that we once had. Perhaps also the loss of other relationships. She has not yet realized that none of her 5 children speak or see her. None of her grandchildren know her. None of us, as far as I know, communicate with her. For me personally, that would be the end. I can't imagine what emotional state she's in right now. We all agreed that we needed psychological or even psychiatric help. Mom refused. Her father and older brother tried to convince her, but it is impossible to force a person who does not want to change. Well, that's where the story ends. Write your opinion in the comments. I believe that yes, of course, the mother behaved absolutely inappropriately, and the author is completely right in her decision. Of course, this is absolutely abnormal when one's own daughter has such a crisis, and the mother instead supports her daughter's friend. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Pardon. Look previous video which will appear here, right arrow, and good luck to you.